All right, so DH, it's funny, as we record this, the podcast listeners will also listen to our panel at Gondola. So a lot of DH here for the listeners.
I love it. Hopefully they don't get sick
in a short
of me.
amount of time.
Yeah.
But there's so much that we can talk about. I was joking with TJ on another episode about, are we the OGs of social? Are we the unks? Like, what is it? Because I feel like we're now this whole different stratosphere where there's a lot of young comers coming up, but we've been in the game for 12, 13, 14 years now.
Yeah, I mean, I talk about this with our team all the time. It's like, I'm not the expert anymore. Like
I'm not the demo.
I'm not. I really am not. Right? If we just a good example, we just did a partnership with someone, a Snapchat partnership. Snapchat is back in a big way, right? That's way over my head. I shouldn't admit that, but I'm not on it. I'm not learning in the same way we did a decade ago in that sense. So I think we're a little bit. We're not old, right? But we have work to do to keep up with the trends in a very different way, because it's evolving to. It's always been evolving quickly, but I think we're right now in a bit of a new phase, even altogether.
Yeah, and I've been telling my team, like, the way that if you didn't understand social as a CMO, you'd be asked to leave at some point. I feel like now, as we're the OGs, if you don't figure out what AI is going to do, that's kind of like our, our next thing that we have to figure out and stay ahead of, or someone younger than us is going to come up and understand it better, right?
100%. The conversation of AI, both as it relates to how does it be part of content and the workflow, but also separately, how does it impact your learning and understanding and the trends that are there,
and the copyright issues,
all of it, right? It's fascinating. How are you guys using it right now?
Yeah, I think for us, it's just like to automate some of the mundane tasks and being able to, be more efficient. I use it every day, but then I've talked a lot about this where I just think AI has, there's already dozens of copyright claims that are in court right now, and they're going after Perplexity and OpenAI, and they're going to go after the big publishers too. Yeah. So all of our clients, we're like, don't use creative on your social, because just like music, you remember like at Twitter, can we use popular music? It's like, but we go way back now, like over a decade. We first met when you were at Twitter Sports. We were having a fascinating conversation right before this, actually, which I'd love to get into. We both run smaller agencies. We're not, the Madison Avenue. We're thousands of global employees. What do you think the benefit of working with agencies like us, and maybe if you're a CMO at a big brand, like why you would tap into a Fresh Tape or an STN?
Yeah, and look, there's benefits and drawbacks to
pros and cons.
Those big agencies and smaller agencies like ours. I think what we hear a lot from clients and what we like to talk about is there's just no bloat. Like, we're going to be with you from the work start to the work finish. We're not passing you from team to team to team to team to team.
Yeah.
But we're also not going to have 20 voices in the room giving feedback on something, because we trust our ability to have our one or two creative directors, our one or two production leads, right?
And you're a GM, but it's like access to us too. Like, call me. My phone's on me.
We're here all week with our client at Microsoft, and we're just in the room with them. Whereas their big agency partners, those CEOs, GMs, others are all over the place all week long, which is good. They should be. We're also running around, but we make the time. We're directly there. But I think also you have smaller agencies tend to have a little bit more of an expertise in something, or the ability to focus. For both of us, right, it's in the social world. Versus repurposing an asset.
And even more niche in the sports world too.
Correct.
It's a different culture.
Versus a big agency who may have the ability to repurpose content for social. They're still not thinking social first in many, many cases. That legacy sort of Madison Avenue feel permeates down, where we come at it from the opposite direction almost.
Yeah, and I think I've always said the reason that is I think a lot of big agencies, they acquire agencies like us, but then those C-suites don't know how to necessarily run those type of departments now. They're not the practitioners, if you will. And I'd love to hear like what you commonly are seeing in terms of themes. Because it's so different. I don't know if I should say welcome to the dark side or maybe the light side, but going from Twitter, where you were the partner rep and you were working with all these different brands, and now you're coming into these brands and you're helping them create content and social strategy. What are the common themes that you're hearing that you're coming in and fixing?
Common themes are one, storytelling, right? How should we approach it? Sports specific example, athlete storytelling. We're having this buzzword, whatever you want to call it, storytelling. How do we actually tell a good story is still the question all these years later.
Yeah,
hasn't changed that much.
That doesn't go away.
But it's still the buzzword. Diving deeper into that, though, what I see from this direction and how do we come and solve problems for our clients, just as you do, right?
Yep.
It's, well, what is our real POV on content? And I think the biggest learning I've had and what helps us in day-to-day conversations with client is giving them our legitimate, actual, direct feedback.
Yeah.
Not trying to go into the, well, this is what they're doing or this is what we're doing.
I think I just learned it like 2 years ago on how to do that without feeling patronizing or that you're being disrespectful, right?
Especially when they provide an RFP and they have some creative behind the idea already.
Yep.
I found it, I think we're winning business because of our honesty, not like totally shitting on someone's client.
Well, and I train my team too. Like, we are the architect. We're not the construction worker that's hammering the nails. So we need to share our architect vision.
Yes.
And if the client is saying something that is not true, like followers are more important than reach, then you have to say, excuse me, with all due respect, like that's just not how the platforms are working right now.
They're paying us to represent their brand from a content perspective, right?
Yeah.
In our creation.
Yeah.
Our job and our duty is to make the best version of that content. They may not always know. It's not that we're always right.
Right.
Far from it.
Right.
But it's I feel it's very much our responsibility to the client to push back in that way, because otherwise, what value are we really bringing?
I've used the line too, like it would be inappropriate for me not to bring up that this is not best practice.
Yes.
Or the quote is, you hired me for a reason, for my expertise, and this goes against best practice as well. We talked about on stage, and if folks have listened to multiple podcasts and listened to our panel at Gondola, we talked about still a common fight, especially with C-suite, is the vanity metric that is followers, and how these platforms are changing, much different even when you were at Twitter, right? To discoverability, pushing to the For You page. We know you better than you know yourself, so we're not going to push you who you're following. We're going to push you people that you're not following.
Yeah.
How have you navigated those discussions?
Yeah, I mean, I think you posted something on Instagram about this recently, right? It's like, it's so true. The follower metric is for all intents and purposes, it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
It is. And you know, leadership from every platform has talked about this from a shareability perspective. It's sending that piece of content to who it's actually going to be most receptive for, or who's going to be most receptive to it, to take an action, to view, to click, to engage. And that's oftentimes not necessarily your followers. And so the algorithms are prioritizing those searchability functions and sort of the the explore tabs and all of those other options. But we're doing a lot of influencer marketing work right now. And so yes, you could look at follower metrics, engagement metrics, view metrics, conversion, whatever you want to look at, right? We take follower metrics straight out from the beginning sometimes, because we really care about, well, is their content performing? What is their V3, V7, V30 view average, right? And post. And so it's not, you're of course looking at it, like followers there, but we're really, really trying to focus more on view engagement. Are they over-indexing consistently in those directions? Because that means they're both talking to their audience, but then the platforms are recognizing that. And
creators and influencers, they would charge based on, if they have 100,000 to 1 million or 500,000, this is what you would. But to your point, now you're hoping that their batting average is so good that it's going to be pushed to the For You page. And you have to make that investment rather than, I'm going to get 3%, 4% of this million followers, easy money,
100%.
Which I think, my question to you is a hot take, I guess, but do followers end up going away or being just like a secondary thing because you're just scrolling on For You page? I feel like it's interesting.
I don't know. I think it would make sense. I don't know if we're ever going to get there.
Yeah.
Like, we think about how important it is for the creator economy still to talk about, look at my audience, right? And then look at how this audience I've built. I think the platforms would have a really hard time convincing, especially a creator, to say, it doesn't, but look at the view number or look at this number.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be there.
Yeah.
But I think what brands who are doing and agencies who are doing their job well are looking through that metric and understanding and finding the ways to really evaluate what content and what accounts are really working and not.
I'm sure you and Jared have talked about this, but another thing I've been thinking about is lo-fi content used to be so amazing when you would see it come on your feed, like, authenticity. This is awesome. It's so different than all the other stuff I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Now, I think with TikTok Shop specifically, lo-fi content is being so riddled with ads that I almost am not thinking that it's going to be relatable or authentic as much anymore, because I've been drowned with like the TikTok shop or like the bait and switch of, oh, you're telling me a story, but you're also trying to sell me. I'm curious if you think we're going to go into another cycle where, you know, lo-fi was great for a while, but now people want to see more high quality storytelling because lo-fi is somewhat saturated at this point.
So this is, Jared talks about it all the time.
Yeah, the pendulum, is it?
Jared Kleinstein, our CEO and founder, and it's not a pendulum, it's just a constant wave, right? And you have clients, and the wave that goes way up, but then also way dips below the median line. And you go in these waves where a brand will think or want the lo-fi, but then the next day they want the hi-fi, high-produced, and expect them to want to perform the same. Different. Every type of content has its own execution sort of pattern or sort of style behind it, right? So we like to take the approach, and curious your thoughts on this also, of the creative is what's going to decide where on that sort of wave you fall. It shouldn't start from we want to have lo-fi content or lo-fi versus like higher produced content. So
yeah, it's like I remember watching the Roman Reigns Cody Rhodes promo, and it was like 6 minutes long. It was a movie, and I watched the entire thing, and it was incredible. But then I also watched a ton of lo-fi content or podcasts where, so I think it's always been, it's not too short, it's not too long, it's just too boring. And whether it's like, what's up guys, I'm here, or it's more of a cinematic storytell, good storytelling, regardless of platform, regardless of length, regardless of what have you, is gonna always outperform. But I just think it's interesting that I think lo-fi content was so like, thank God, this is finally authentic, but we're seeing a little bit of it.
And I think that it's okay for a brand to say, look, our brand and our image, it feels more high quality. It feels more like produced versus a different brand could say,
but still use hooks and still be like native to social.
So there is absolutely a lane for that higher fidelity content to still be social focused to a T. But the look and feel can be important for a brand, so we don't want to dismiss it completely.
Right.
But I think there's a real sort of misunderstanding and misalignment of, oh, social has to be this or this. It's really a lot of both, and it's matching it to the creative and the brand.
Final question. We have like 30 seconds, but a lot of our friends listen to this show, and they're working in different departments, and they're directors of social, CMOs. They're our clients. They're our friends. What is the one thing that would advise them to be on the lookout for? Where social is going? What's that thing that you think would give them some good value right now?
Maybe because I'm just in this world so much right now on a few projects, but figuring out how to incorporate creators and influencers into your content feels to me so critical for all of us.
It's rocket fuel for your ecosystem and distribution.
The whole thing. I mean, I just really think it is the continued direction, whether it's athletes as those creators or
build your ambassador program, people.
And 100%. But I think that really is the way of the future. But how those people are also incorporated into more traditional forms of content as well. I'd say that number one, and then number two, quickly, I think is we're in this new phase of platforms that we don't have a net new platform right now, right? Like, I think a lot of people thought after Twitter there'd be something new. Threads is growing.
Not there
yet. Snapchat's coming back. YouTube's acting a little differently, right? Like, I think we all need to do another deep dive into what are the best practices? What is really each platform optimizing for? Because I think we're like we talked about right off the bat at the top, we're a little bit of a changing landscape here, and I think the platforms are adapting right now in a way that we're just at the start of, and we have to pay attention.
The only constant has changed, man. DH, it's always an honor and a privilege. Appreciate it, bud.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thanks.